Greetings, readers and friends. Harvey Michaels here. I'm thrilled to welcome you to our adventure into Danshui President Plunge, Book 1, Evacuate or Pay. It was an electrifying story to write, and I can't wait to share some with you today. Before we dive in, don't forget to hit that like and subscribe button if you haven't already. Your support means the world to me. Thank you kindly. Okay, here we go. Chapter 3. Open this door or I will shoot you. Danshui Port Police. Chief Pan spaces out, gazing at the weather website's photo. People describe Taiwan as almond-shaped or sweet potato-shaped, but with the typhoon along the north coast bunched up on top, the chief's eyebrows torque to one side, picturing the storm as an oversized, ugly toupee on a man called Formosa. Triple gusts, each louder and each screaming a shriller note, brings him back to more sober thoughts. The toupee is a behemoth attacker named Noru. Chief Pan imagines a far less amusing picture. 5 or 6 specific vulnerable places below the hills surrounding Taipei where predictable flooding will hit this afternoon and evening. In an online report, he just saw meteorologists reporting that a high-pressure system in China is stubbornly holding position, slowing Super Typhoon Noru's forward progress. Not good news. You want typhoons to hurry onward, not take their time and linger. Super typhoon winds are fearsome, destructive, and sustained typhoon heavy rain is another lethal nightmare. Between Taipei and the northernmost tip of Taiwan is scenic Yangming Mountain. Yangmingshan National Park ornaments North Taiwan like a beautiful, if smallish, forehead. The chief silently dreads what over half a meter of rain will look like falling within hours, flooding that forehead. Taiwan has 2 northern water ports to the east and west of Taipei. Of the 2, the port of Taipei at Danshui on the west side looks larger on a map because the Danshui River appears to be a large and relatively long functioning river. The other, Jilung, on a map, is merely a stubby finger of water, but it's a deep water port. The idea of large ships operating on the Danshui River is laughable because it's too shallow for any shipping industry. Its primary purpose is flood control drainage for surrounding expansive heights. As a side benefit, the Danshui River provides colorful urban scenery. Taipei dwellers have many riverbank parks and bike paths to enjoy, and today, if not for protecting flood walls, these places would be death traps. Before this day is over, the slumberous Danshui River, normally filling less than a third of its appointed space, will touch both extreme riverbank tops with rushing torrents. Mountains on all sides of Taipei will hold a scant fraction of the millions of tons of rain this storm will bring. The chief shudders, contemplating the flooding north and south side mountainsides and a raging Danshui River. Chief Pan shakes off his fearful reverie, straightens up at the computer, and resumes checking things off his scheduled protocol to follow. Now that the updates and weather agencies and flood control departments are integrated, the port police tasks are automated. Check this, then that, and the other. Boats, docks, river waters, tide waters, parking lots, and Danshui port roads. Do it again and again. Try not to dwell on the tide surge. Check on your people. Leaning stork-like against the central counter, long-legged Chief Pan is thankful that this area around Fisherman's Wharf is still under development. He could not think of another area of Taiwan with no convenience stores. Taiwanese call 7-Elevens sevens. Collectively, they are everywhere, even on the outlying tourist islands surrounding Taiwan. They are on mountaintops and in hospital basements, open 24 hours and expanded to include online shopping and boutique coffee shops with seating in most new stores. There was no telling how far convenience stores could spread. So it's telling that no sevens are on streets near the Danshui Fisherman's Wharf tourist area, though there are plenty of convenience stores near the Danshui MRT stop and nearby Old Town there. Just 10 years ago, he saw many times the average foot traffic, but lately, steered away by internet algorithms, tourists were less apt to crowd around the Danshui Fisherman's Wharf tourist coffee shops or the Lover's Bridge arching over the small boat exit waterway. In a few years, there would again be mobs of people and sevens all around Fisherman's Wharf. Chief Pan shook his head to rid thoughts of daily crowds and all the additional problems that would come with them. The chief hears a beep, marking another hour passing. He stands up to check on everyone and assure them by example that everything is in order. As he does, he notices what he ignored, how loud the typhoon is. I can't hear myself think. When he looks outside towards the sea, he gasps without thinking and quickly checks his display of fear. A flood of white in the sky is flying in at incredible speed. Everything that can be broken or tossed is being broken or tossed. The super typhoon winds barrel in like an unimaginably enormous high-speed train of weather, baffling his sense of sight and hearing. Facing it, you wonder over and over again, how can this be happening? Chief Pan looks away and forces his mind to stick to the jobs at hand. The winds have shifted gears, and they are frightening. There will be severe damage, and then perilous flooding from heavier rains. But the worst case tide surge was not happening. They could all breathe a sigh of relief. He sees tall and burly Sergeant Chen huffing up the stairs. His face is wet and red, and his eyes are open wide. Chief Pan, I tried to look around outside. It's as you said, sir. No way to walk outside when the strong stuff blows like now. Are any of the trees still standing, Sergeant Chen? Looks that way so far, but what hasn't broken off or come out by the roots is whipping around like I can hardly believe. It's a good thing you ordered the small craft and trailers chained securely, sir. He points to a spot on the west side office wall, behind which were the small boats and trailers. Why's that, Sergeant? Oh, they're all blown into a pile around the flagpole, held together by the chains. No telling how far everything would fly off if it wasn't all chained together. Oh, and the new windsock over our front door is gone. That was supposed to stand up to anything. Chief Pan's whined complaint about quantifiable lost resources is a ruse to cover his true disappointment. Chief Pan knows he will be in for a blaming meeting where his commander will want him to list the things he didn't do right, causing that windsock to come loose. I heard it breaking and saw the sock shoot away, chew, like a spear from a spear gun, Chief. Something nags at Chief Pan's mind. What was that construction truck doing there this morning at the seawall? All the Port Police Headquarters videos feeds except one point to the parked boats, the parking lots, and shuttered vendors, the surrounding downstairs. Only one points backward in a scratchy, fisheye view of the whole back lot. The only camera where footage is saved is on an older CD memory device downstairs. He knows the quality will be poor, but decides just as soon as they get ahead here, they will dig up the recorded footage to see what that city truck was doing this morning. He uses the binoculars again, trying to spy a little better, a better look at what those lighted and waving construction mannequins are guarding. He knows there is nothing he can do now, but he is starting to have a bad feeling. Fisherman's Wharf Hotel. Inside the Fulan Hotel lobby, 100 meters from the easternmost docked boats in the Fisherman's Wharf port, employees are doing their best to stay calm and collected. They have to keep up appearances despite initial attacks by what many are calling the biggest typhoon to hit Taipei in decades or ever. It's all hands on deck and all eyes on Bulge. They struggle with what they witness. It is strange and frightening to be surrounded on two lobby sides by glass, thick, but glass all the same. The Tempest performance already warmed up and is now playing its historic full-strength production right in their faces. The microphones in the second-floor conference room are turned up high to be heard above the shrieking and clattering of gale-force winds raging around them. No person, employee or guest, says what they all think, that being inside a ship-shaped hotel next to the port during Super Typhoon Noru is surreal and terrifying. The roaring clamor of weather is especially intense in the smaller first-floor lobby. Shrieking and reverberating sounds coming through the surrounding windows and particularly through the revolving doors are so loud that any person-to-person conversation requires standing close and speaking loudly. Winds scream as if all the world's ghosts are rounded up together and angry about the affair. Then the screaming wind disappears and roaring rain takes over. A frightful volume of water explodes downward like all the pipes in heaven broke at once. Within minutes, the tumult outside creates ankle-deep ponds rushing wherever they will. Just minutes ago, parking lots on one side, walkways and outdoor plazas on the other. The typhoon spiked in fury in the last half hour. Apparently, one or more stubby fingers of the swirling ultimate typhoon were unleashing on them. Abruptly, it passes by, pausing the onslaught, and the quiet respite brings a different mental stress. The whiplash contrast shakes everyone experiencing the sudden switch from an incredibly powerful attack to a normal rainstorm with normal high winds. The feared and respected head manager takes the chance during this moment between typhonic fingers of destruction to clap his hands and launch into a short meeting he'd called for there in the lobby to address all his employees except essential staff serving the conference going on upstairs and the kitchen crew preparing a lunch banquet. We will sacrifice no professionalism today. Not because of fewer guests staying with us, not because of the typhoon. He ignores an impertinent voice interrupting. Super typhoon, you mean? But makes a half scowl and a mental note to report that individual. As you know, our sole guest is paying double his contracted fee, so they don't have to reschedule their board meeting. They stipulated employees receive double their normal wage, as you know. We informed them any employees working in this corporation during a typhoon designated off for public employees already received double pay, as you know. They insisted we double that rate and charge them for it. He pauses again. As you know. The manager raises a finger and sternly looks at every face around the room. If there are any complaints from our guests, any management-observed lapses or dereliction of duty, you will be reported. Then he puts both his hands out and tilts his head, gesturing sincerity, just like any day. No more, no less. You don't have to give 4 times more service today. That would be impossible. He shakes his head and reaches down and out like an opera singer. We will look back on this day and say we received quadruple pay for the same standard of service. The phone rings, and no one moves until he points to who he wants to answer the phone. Just do your job. It is a regular day with heavy rain. Do the job we trained you for. That's all we ask. He looks scary without intending, suddenly flashing a wide, exaggerated smile. Remember to smile, people, please. The manager becomes pensive. He rubs his chin in thought. One thing special, no press is allowed inside today. Slight chuckles and snickers are heard. That sounds improbable, but we must be prepared if some ambitious reporter or news van shows up. A hand raises. Yes? The manager grins tolerantly at the interruption. The employee speaks up, as trained, looking straight toward his superior. What if the reporter is injured? Good question. You must confiscate any smartphones, cameras, and bags, and then usher them directly to the back office and call whatever suitable emergency services. The super typhoon was picking up again. Windows rumble as they block screaming squall lines, and the manager raises his voice one more time. That will be all, people. Get back to work now. Each person, without thinking, briefly glances outside toward the resuming roars and shrieks, rising louder and louder before heading to their workstations. They all perceive the freshly violent, swirling sky darkened in the last minutes since standing at attention for this meeting. They turn to once more readjust to the weather nightmare they are living through, pretending it is nothing special, as the sky crashes against the glass, trying its best to wipe them all out. That's it for today. Thanks for listening. I hope you enjoyed the reading this time. Please leave a comment if you did. What did you think? Remember, sharing is caring, so please do tell a friend who would like to join us here. If you are enjoying the journey, I'd be so grateful if you would be a supporter and pick up a copy of Danshui President Plunge on Amazon and leave a review. Until next time, take care. I look forward to seeing you here again. See you then.